welcome to the podcast. Josh, thanks for being here. Bixler and Josh Scott, thanks so much.
I missed you, buddy.
The Josh
Thank
Scott,
you. I missed
Josh
you
Scott, Josh Bixler kind of back together again.
We both are back from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We had like vacation, just like really placed weird, so it was a really long distance. When you got back, I left.
We usually take our vacations at the same time,
but not.
So if we have to spend time apart,
right?
It's for the shortest amount of time possible.
I missed you, man.
This time it was a longer period.
It's nice to be back.
Which we've missed. So thank you so much for allowing us to just wait forever.
Sure,
really appreciate
it.
I
hope it's worth the wait. Gosh, a lot of pressure now.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there's been probably about 5 or 6 episodes that have not had me in it. Not a single person's asked, "Where's Josh Bixler?" So brother, you are missed and loved.
I'm sure that's not true.
That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
And I'm good with that.
Dude, he's good with that. He that allows him to go on vacations with his family and not have to worry about it. Even though he does. Even though he wants to be back here.
Yeah.
I missed you guys.
You guys did a good job of forcing him to unplug, though.
Yes.
Because it's almost impossible to
on that note,
do
Austin actually, at the production meeting after he left, Josh Bixler left, he essentially told everybody,
don't talk to him.
If he will contact you and he will try to get in contact with you. If he does, cold shoulder. Essentially, that's what he told to my boss. I had to be the cold shoulder to my boss.
I felt I was going out of my mind. And here's the thing is I love being with my family, but I hate breaking routine.
Yeah.
I want to wake up in the morning. I want to brush my teeth, get a shower, all that good stuff.
Those are all good things. Those are
continue to do those.
Really
don't break those routines.
No, but there's a point where I come to work and I get to have fun with my friends. And it was so weird waking up and it's like, where am I? What am I doing? Why am I here?
Where's my flight test t-shirt?
Actually, I brought those with me.
Of course.
Oh, good job.
But it was really weird. And you guys did a really good job because I was going out of my mind. Like, I think 2 days I made it and I was like, hey, just want to check on this video. We had a product release, the Simple Cub, and nothing. And I'm like, did the place burn down? And then finally I got like a 1-sentence reply saying, we are not to reply to you. And I'm like, what? And they did it in a very sheepish way because it was Christian responding to Jeremy, not replying to me. Yeah. And it's like, Christian, we are not to reply to Josh. And I didn't like it.
It's funny.
It's a weird situation.
Awesome time with family.
But that's what you needed. You needed to get away, clear your head, have some fun. Yeah. You guys got to do some pretty cool things as you showed us some videos. You guys actually got to do some kiting. What would those be called?
There's a couple different terms. They call them power foils, power kites, and speed foils. There's like the different names out there depending on what it is. But when I was young, before I could fly much, I would bring kites out and I would fly my kites. I had my little homemade like cardboard tubes with my kites in them, and I felt really cool because I had like a little back strap and I would carry them around.
Dude, you're killing it.
Yeah, I mean, I really owned my nerddom at a young age.
Dude, that's fantastic.
But it was windy, and where we were, I found out it was allowed to fly drones on the beach, but where the airspace was, we couldn't. It was like military restricted. There was no way we were going to be able to fly. And I was kind of bummed because I wanted to film my kids, having fun. And long story short, we go to a kite store, and I went back to being 12 years old again. Just my kids did too, though.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we walked through.
Well, that's not too far for.
No, it's right around line with Michael.
Michael, I think, is 13, but it's okay.
But we went through it. It was really a cool family experience. It was windy, and we were like, let's just pick out a kite. And there's a brand called Prism. And when I was young, I used to drool over these Prism kites. Well, their price is really, really reasonable. And we're talking with guys, and Michael's really into fast and intense. Noah's a little bit more reserved. He likes the strategic stuff. And I picked out actually a single line kite that was really stable because I wanted to put a GoPro on it and get aerials. And we went through and all picked out a kite, two line airfoils, and I picked out a boring kite. Went to the beach. Had the time of our life.
Dad kite.
Yeah. We flew until we could not fly anymore. And these bag kites basically just push into a bag and you can unroll them and they're flying. You can smack them into anything. It was a blast.
That's cool.
So we kind of hijacked the whole vacation. We were at that kite store 5 times. And by the end of it, I bought myself also a bigger foil. So Michael had a 1.4 meter, which pulled good, but it was really fast. Noah had a 2 meter, which pulled decent, a little bit slower, a little more power. And then I had a 2.5. which pulled all of us across the sand. And a little did I know, Ian, who has his family, is big into kiting.
Right.
at the same time, you guys were having fun with pretty much the exact same kite.
Exactly. We were sitting here in the shop. I sit right next to Ian, and he was just like, hey, so what I did over the weekend, I was messing around. I didn't even realize my dad and mom have these kites, and I saw one at an event, and I had to get one, so I went and flew it all weekend. And then literally right after he says that, we get a text message from Josh like a half hour later with a video of him and his family flying the exact same kites on the beach on vacation.
Snapshot awesome. 2.5 from Prism. And oh my goodness. Now we've been flying a lot. We've been having a lot of wind, a lot of bad weather.
Right.
And the cool thing is like this bag kite, whatever size fits you, you literally just throw it in your car and it's so small. And if you can't fly a model or a drone, you fly a kite. You don't have to recharge batteries. And it's still like a really fun experience.
Yeah. It's I flew it for the first time a couple of days ago. It's a workout. I was like, you can't see on, obviously you're not watching on YouTube, you should listen on iTunes. My face is very tense at the moment. Yes. Yes, it's a workout and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And actually there's a guy in the community that just posted on our Facebook a while back, a couple of days ago. And he said that like, essentially we do, like if we have nice weather, we fly planes. And if it's bad weather, we fly kites.
Yeah.
He's the exact opposite. He's like, when I used to kite all the time, so he's like kiting all the time, and when he has good weather, he flies airplanes.
Oh my goodness.
Which is really cool. So I can't remember his name, but thanks for commenting. That's really cool. But yeah, we've been enjoying the kites and all that stuff. But we're going to continue to mess around with them, I think, here at the shop.
Anything that flies. And here's kind of the neat thing, and we're going to kind of put a feeler out. We definitely love everything that flies. We love social activities based around flight. The Snapshot 2.5 is no longer being made, and it's just a phenomenal kite. I'm actually have contact information with Prism, and what I'm kind of debating on, if this is no longer being made and there's a minimum order, bring it back, because we all love it, but you can't buy them anymore. We don't want to do content around something you can't buy.
Right.
I'm wondering if we can talk to him and get them to make a special edition for Flight Test. And that way, fly a plane, fly a kite, you're flying something. And so we're going to be looking for community feedback on whether, are we branching too far away, or would they like to see something like this?
Yeah.
Kite test.
Kite test.
Let us know. Let us know in the comments below if you would want to see some kite content.
Yeah.
As well as if you or your friends or your family or people that would be into purchasing these kites.
Yeah, and maybe we can make a special edition.
Right, special edition FT.
Cool.
That'd be cool. I'm in. You don't have to tell me twice.
All right. Well, how's that for a rabbit trail?
That is a great intro, first and foremost.
Hi, guys.
So fantastic. But yes, thanks so much for listening and watching on whatever platform you're doing so, on iTunes or whatever other platform, obviously on the YouTubes. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. So we're gonna get to some questions straight off the bat after our massive intro open. So Josh Scott, how about you go? We'll have you read them all today.
The voice of an angel.
And we'll get to as many as we can because we're a little bit on a time crunch today. You actually have a meeting today.
There are so many great, exciting things coming up, and a 30-second snippet of it. Our dream of trying to get a location where people can come out, fellowship, fly, and make memories with their families. And then also we get the opportunity to do content with them is getting closer and closer every day. So yeah, I got some cool meetings, some walkthroughs, and I'm hoping by Flight Fest East that we can make an announcement, hopefully a video, announcing what our plans, locations, and details. And, it's funny. I'll just say this honestly. God has a plan. And every time I get so frustrated that a door is shut, I am like, why, God? Why is this happening? My motivation is honestly in my heart pure. But why are these opportunities not coming through when I see all this momentum taking us there? Okay. And then this door opened and it's not been shut yet. And it's staying open. And I'm really, really excited about what that means for Flight Test, what it means for the future of how we use this hobby to impact people in a positive way, and also how we get to fellowship with the community and do content. I mean, we are going to be able to do content in a way that we've never done before. It's also going to future-proof Flight Test. So we have the ability to always share the best of the best knowledge, share talents with other people, and fulfill the aspects of flight that we don't simply know. And I'm just really excited. So a lot of that's falling into place.
Yeah. Yep. Lot of things.
This meeting is so important, in fact, that Josh brought a polo shirt to change into.
Yes,
actually.
Before he goes to
I put a T-shirt on because I felt really odd.
Fantastic. Love it. All right, Josh, guy, let's go straight on the bat.
Paul Dome wants to know, how about some EDF aircraft? We want jets. Also, how about some more difficult builds for the more advanced builders?
What if we combine that all into one? EDF jet that's a little bit more difficult.
Well, I think naturally a lot of times the EDF jets are probably more difficult to build anyway, right?
Yes. You want to take this, Stefan? Because I know you were in a certain vlog with a certain awesome young man.
Well, from what I'm understanding, as you all know, we have got the opportunity to be working with a young gentleman named Andrus, and he built an X29.
X29.
And he had a pusher prop on a $2 motor. If you haven't seen the vlog, you should go check it out. It's hilarious. It's awesome. But there's also, he's been doing some EDF stuff with it as well. And I think, Josh Bixter, if I'm not mistaken, after talking with you like about 3 or 4 days ago, we're planning on releasing that possibly, or at least having free plans.
It's going to definitely be released as a kit. And also a great gentleman named Ben Harper has designed a beautiful plane that we got to fly. It wasn't the F4. What was it? The A4? Something like that?
The A4 Tiger or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
The name's...
Benny, we'll get that right someday.
Yeah. But these jets are great. Like I said, we're trying to find a power pack around a motor that's reliable and that's going to put up with it. EDFs are very temperamental, and if someone builds this, it's not a swappable.
Right.
They're going to be building this into a frame, and if it frankly gives up, they're going to have to scalp and destroy their airframe to get it out. So we just don't want people to do that. But yes, Andrus is I want to say complicated, but definitely doable, and so is Ben's. We'll be hitting EDFs hard with more complicated features, and also we'll be taking those techniques and bringing them into to more of our FT designs.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yep. So yes, great question, and everybody's gonna be super excited about that. We definitely know that.
Yes.
I think there's another one of those questions on the X29, but we'll skip over that one. Anyways,
we can go to it now if you want to.
No, we're good.
Okay.
That's perfect.
I don't want to throw a wrench in it.
You're good.
Kyle Nicholas, do you have any idea? Oh wait, no. Do you have any idea when the red bottom Gremlin motors are going to be released?
Hey, TJ.
What's up, TJ?
TJ's behind the camera, by the way.
Like now.
What's that?
So they're going into production.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
So figure maybe a month or 6 weeks.
So Friday, June 30th, they're going into production. So look for about 4 weeks from now. We already have an order in, a very aggressive order in of different sizes. I definitely recommend if you're going to do this, use the Gremlin carbon fiber frames.
Yes.
The speed of these things is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
That being said, the stock 1104 Gremlin motors from our 1104 pack will fill the needs of 80 to 90% of the people out there.
Yeah.
2-cell, 3-cell operation is fantastic. Put a lighter battery on it, flies like a 3-cell, So I don't want people to feel they have to leave the whole vision of the Gremlin where, it's about the fun. You're going to get longevity in flight times and performance with staying with that. But the red bottoms definitely, there's going to be that 10% out there that's going to want that extra kick. This is an extra kick.
Yep, for sure.
It's huge.
This is that next upgrade.
It's amazing, yeah.
Red bottom Gremlin, you make the rockin' world go round.
My propeller go around.
Oh,
I like that.
Oh, did you already do that one?
We did. Me and Alex. But
Sorry, I must have missed that.
It's all good. T-shirts.
Oh boy.
Spencer Okonski, if I got that right.
Hi, Spencer.
Good for me. Have you considered building or designing any wing in ground effect crafts? I have no idea what that means.
Ground effect aircraft is basically what they did back in World War II a lot, and they would cup the ground effect. They'd utilize it. The tips would kind of droop down, and there's a pocket of air under the wings that if you keep it from spilling out, you can get a very efficient flight out of. And that's why the Spruce Goose, they always criticize it because it never left ground effect. It's usually the length of the wing turned vertical. Ironically, we're not going to probably really do that right now with models. But what we are doing right now is working with the Flute Talk.
Right, exactly.
And that's pretty much, it's kind of a 2-wing ground effect air vehicle. Right. And the neatest thing about it, it was pioneered by our kids from FT STEM.
That's right.
So
cool.
Really cool. So the answer is yes. That will probably become a kit of some sort in a flying version because it should fly too.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, great question. Yeah, and we're really excited about that coming forward.
John R. Barth says, is there a chance Flight Test will be making a showing at Air Venture?
Yes.
There's a chance?
No, there's more than a chance. We're going to be doing it.
Yeah, you guys are we're definitely going.
Yeah.
We don't know in what capacity yet specifically, where how many people are going and all that stuff, but we will be having an appearance there.
Yeah, this year's going to be different from last year. Our focus with this year is going to be actually to capture a lot of content. We're doing a lot of general aviation content. We will probably be doing meetups and meet and greets at booths. And then instead of having a staple booth, and we'll produce our schedule where we're going to be and when. Hopefully we'll be able to fly at Pioneer Airfield again with all the great people from the Flight Test family. And then we're also going to be doing lots of video content.
Yep. For sure. It'd be fun.
What are you pointing at?
I was
Well,
gonna.
I mean, everybody can see.
Yes, everybody
that's
can see.
watching
Yeah.
can see us.
Right.
I'm
I
so
apologize.
Do you just want to tell me what you're trying to
you
say?
can skip over the next question.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was trying to say, but see, I'm not very good at being.
Don't worry, guys. It was my question, and it was pointless. I'll just ask it later.
Yes, do it.
All right, Alex Gregorius.
Gregorius. That was good.
Maybe. Are the rumors true that there is a Southern California location for Flight Fest West? Inquiring minds want to know. Please, 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 3 pleases, let it be Southern California.
Southern California.
I'm trying to think
San
for
Diego.
Flight Fest West. I'm trying to think of who started this rumor. I have no idea. But I know that we are in the process of looking at locations in California.
So, yeah, and here's the reality. Vallejo was amazing, but we were very fortunate with Vallejo that nothing landed on the highway.
Right.
And that no one got hurt. There was such a small amount between the runway and the people that we simply, for safety reasons alone, can't do a repeat at that location. So what we've already been to California once, is looking at different locations that can hold a much larger size, because what we're seeing from our first turnout is that you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
That we're going to need a bigger venue, and we're going to try to find that. And it probably will dance around California, Southern, Northern. Our goal is to go to the West Coast on some side, and it's probably not always going to be in the same direction. We're going to try to hit the northern reaches and the southern reaches. But we'll definitely have information.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Flight Fest West.
Yep.
I want that to be a yearly thing.
It was a good time.
We had a fantastic time. It was
Yep.
sweet.
Craig Dillon says, can you elaborate on the balsa vision? Is it your goal to produce balsa kits, or is it to introduce people to that side of the hobby through reputable vendors? So are we going to make balsa kits, or are we going to show them in the direction of people who do?
I feel like I'm just being a speaker hawk now.
Dude, no, but here's the thing. The nice thing about it is that, like, you're kind of one of those people that has lots of good information.
Oh.
And podcasts, I mean, they're kind of
That's where you
used
get
for
to
like
speak the
really
heart,
good.
huh?
Yeah. Because, and the only reason I chose this one because I know balsa has been a big thing from your past with you and your dad, but also it's something that we're trying to kind of step into. It's also something that with a foam kit, you sit down and you make this foam kit with your kids or your family or whatever, and you're done in about 3 hours and you're up in the air.
Yeah.
With a balsa kit, it's obviously a lengthier build, and I think one thing I think that some people don't kind of understand or get is that you can also lengthen that to the point where you're building an experience for your family. Like, I'm sure you and your dad, you had that longer experience, which can sometimes bring a lot of cool opportunities and conversations that maybe a 2-hour build, it gets you in the air very much quicker, but sometimes you don't always get that.
It's the icebreaker.
Right.
All right. This is awesome. Stefan, God bless you, man. That nailed it. Yes. That was awesome. The whole vision with the foamies was to give people a quick success, give them the pattern of how you can use the hobby to make a memory, to communicate, to have a conversation. But it was all done in a day's time. Right. And that was really out of necessity that people, unfortunately, are very, very busy. Once people realize, oh, wow, this is a really fun hobby. I'm really enjoying the build experience, the flight experience. Removing the disposable nature of foam board airplanes and then increasing the build time does change the experience in a really unique way. I can't remember every plane I built and flew, but I can remember every time I was with my dad doing it.
Right.
And that's really what I want to be the repeat. And substitute your dad with your friend. Substitute any of that. We want this hobby to be social. So the answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Our goal was to take this awesome material foam board and exploit every aspect of it for education, for building, for getting people in the hobby, for advanced techniques. That's going to continue to run for years. But we're going to repeat that with balsa wood. And we're going to do it in a couple different ways. We're looking, and one of the reasons we are with Horizon was that we are looking to work with them in a unique way to introduce both gas and balsa at the same time.
That's fantastic.
And there's a very unique benefit that you get when you go with bigger models with gas power and balsa. The rigidity of flight, we'll cover all that later.
Right.
So it's twofold. We're going to introduce, some disciplines you need to learn. We're going to kind of do a new beginner series all around gas. So we're going to teach the fundamentals of tuning gas engines along with flying heavier models. But also during that time, we're going to be introducing building techniques. And that is where we may branch off from designed airplanes that are from reputable manufacturers to some of our own product line. Cool. It may even be going to different companies and taking a model that they've discontinued that we feel very passionate about and reintroducing it with maybe some things switched so it's a simpler build. So the way it would look would be the first introductory plane would be balsa wood where they'd glue joints, and it would jig together much like a Stevens era model. The second model would be a little bit more truss building. The third model would be all truss building. The fourth model would be truss building with advanced sheeting. You follow how I'm talking here?
Yeah. The fifth model, you're basically working for NASA.
Yes. But the idea would be to take it and piece it apart. If you look at our FT Flyer, 5 pieces of foam, an A fold, B fold, and a bevel cut.
Right.
I'm sorry, just an A fold and a bevel cut. The second one advanced a little bit more. And now that we're into Model 50, we're molding foam and we're getting some amazing shapes out of it.
That X29,
it's gorgeous.
Once again.
so that's the whole goal with balsa wood, and we'll reinvent that and re-energize that because I want people to fall in love with building as much as flying.
Right.
And then once balsa wood journey's done, guess what? We'll introduce fiberglass, carbon fiber, fill in the blanks. Yeah. And maybe the technology.
Yeah, and just continue to go from there. So that's awesome. Fantastic. It's a great question. Yeah, and we could go on and on about that for sure for quite a while.
The whole podcast.
But yes, we could. But in general, that's a great question. Yeah. And we definitely want to build all the aspects of the hobby and allow as many people to enjoy it as well.
And look for especially one of the reasons we were with Horizon was that exact topic.
Right.
Was look, we have a love and a passion for this. Hangar 9 is one of the most reputable balsa wood and build planes. So we'll introduce that vision and how it is. I think everyone's gonna be really excited.
All right, let's do one more. Brandon Davis.
Brandon Davis. I like it the way he worded this. So I'm trying to decide if I should get the Simple Cub or the Simple Storch for my first FT plane. I'm used to flying the E-Flight Timber, so which one should I get?
Boom.
Oh boy.
Is that how you said it in your head when you were writing it?
I hope so, because it's very friendly.
Yeah.
All right, recap that one
very
more
like
time.
conversational.
So deciding which one to get as his first FT plane. Okay. I don't know if you've flown yet, Brandon, up to this point or not, but
he's flew the timber. He flew the timber.
Correct. He flew the.
I made up the word flowed.
He flew the timber. So essentially, he's asking whether the Simple Cub or the Simple Storch. In my opinion, I would, just because I have actually yet to fly a Simple Storch, no joke. I have not flown one yet, which is very sad. I need to do so. But I have flown multiple times the FT Simple Cub. And I will tell you, Brandon, that it is a fantastic time and it's super easy. I flew it on floats, never flown floats, landed it on the water, on the floats, without it happening to explode into a million pieces or get drowned in the water. My motor fell off, but that's another story. But I've loved it. Yeah. And I'm like I said, I'm not like a huge, great flyer in general. But I had a blast and I thought it was very, very simple to fly. Yeah. So that's
it's been a long time since I've flown the Storch, but in my memory, the Timber, the Storch, and the Cub are pretty comparable.
They really are.
Yeah.
Just size.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Storch is bigger, right?
Yes.
The Timber's the biggest Storch, and then the Cub is the smallest.
Right.
So, yeah.
And if you have some, if you're in a smaller area, obviously the Cub would be a little bit nice to be in a little bit tighter area, depending on what your size field is. That's my opinion. Josh may have a different one. I don't know. It is what it is.
I don't want to, in my opinion, is going to be...
He's torn.
And here's the reason. I want to be very blunt about this because I'm going to go back to the Storch and probably address this. The Storch has a very big wing. A very big wing that's easy to fold if you do lots of high G maneuvers. So for that reason, both the Cub and the Storch can fly incredibly slow, have a very resilient nature to them, right. And teach you everything you need to know for every aspect of flight. Right. I would say go with the Simple Cub just because you will not snap the wings on that. It'll take a hit all day long, and you can grow with it very quickly without having to modify that much. The flaperons and ailerons mod on the Cub literally takes 10 minutes. Yeah, that's huge. And then the floats aspect opens up a whole other door that just doesn't exist with the Storch. We'll probably revisit the Storch and put some bracing in there. Yeah. But when you fly it at stock configuration the way it's supposed to be, you're not going to snap the wings. But after a lot of flights, and people really love flying the Storch, those wings get weaker than I like. Same with the Explorer. So we're going to probably go back and put some balsa wood reinforcement.
We'll look like those again. But so that's a Simple Cub, probably the better option in this situation. But first and foremost, thanks for that question. Thanks everybody for those awesome questions. Really appreciate that. And we're gonna go straight into it. And actually, Josh Scott,
yes sir,
we have not seen you in a while as far as on the podcast is concerned.
That's correct.
So we wanted to have you on to see what's going on with everything with the Veterans Project.
Oh yeah. Memoirs of World War II. If you haven't seen it, you can go on Facebook. I have a page on there called Memoirs of World War II. It's always WWII. And then also on Instagram, memoirs_of_WWII.
And we'll have a link below.
Yes, awesome. And so what I've been doing for a little over a year now is visiting World War II veterans and just talking with them, finding out about their experience during the war, getting their perspective. That subject has always been really interesting to me. And anytime I watch a documentary, anything like that, where they have an interview with an actual veteran who was there, I just like that those are like my heroes, and they all say that they're not the heroes, which they're the ones who never came home are heroes, and I agree with that, but to me they still are heroes. So that's something that I always wanted to do, was to be able to sit down and talk with them and just really find out what was it like for you, what did you see, what did you experience, and it's been amazing. It's been definitely one of the coolest things I've ever got to do in my whole life. So check out Instagram, check out the Facebook, and there's more content that I want to start making available. But yeah, it's been amazing to hear some of these things. I'm trying to remember what I have and haven't shared with you guys, but just some crazy stuff. There's a guy I met with he's a Pearl Harbor survivor. Oh wow! And he was on the West Virginia, which was one of the ships that got sunk, and he actually ended up being trapped several decks below. With water pouring in, the decks above him were flooded, and he was trapped down there with I think 5 or 6 other guys, and they just had no way out. The water's rising, and out of nowhere, this other sailor comes in and says, "Hey, there's a chute. I don't know if it was a laundry chute or what it was in this room down the hall that we could climb up. There's a ladder inside that we can climb up." So this guy, they all, link arms, and they all, going through the water. It's coming up to their neck. They get to this room, and they find this opening to the chute. They had to dive down under the water, swim up and through the chute. The chute's full of water as well, so they have to, do this all while submerged in the water. The guy who told them about it, he goes first, and he goes up there to lead the other guys up. Opens the hatch at the top, and then up top it's dry, so he starts pulling everybody out. Adoni is the name of the gentleman that I was talking to. So Adoni tells me that when this guy pulled him up out of the chute, they kind of just like looked at each other. The guy like kind of patted his face, make sure he's okay, and then he said the guy was gone, and he never saw him again. And even afterwards, he was talking with one of his officers and telling them what happened, and they had no idea who this person could have been, and they never saw him again. And you run into stories like that, call it supernatural or whatever, but you run into things like that every once in a while where they say there's no explanation for how, for why this happened or who that was or anything like that. Maybe there is, an explanation for it, but they never found out who the guy was. But, he comes out topside on the West Virginia and just sees just the battle is still happening. The Japanese planes are still flying around shooting. He actually got hit as soon as he got up to the top. He got hit with shrapnel from a strafing from a Japanese plane, and all this crazy stuff. But he got patched up, and then within just a few hours, he was back at the scene, helping to put out fires and unfortunately find bodies, look for survivors and stuff like that. So it's just crazy to think that after going through something like that, and just a few hours after it happened, he even got wounded. He volunteered to go right back into it, to pick up the pieces. It's just, man.
And they don't call themselves heroes, which is
exactly
that's in my mind.
We're allowed to disagree with them on that.
Yes, we are.
For sure. Talking with them and hearing their perspective, I understand that notion of I'm not a hero, and they actually. I wouldn't say take offense to being called a hero, but they just don't feel that they deserve the title because they made it home. Right. They're more or less, they're physically okay, but their buddies didn't make it back home. And so I understand that. I understand that notion, but at the same time, I don't think that we could do too much honoring of them.
Right. No, so. I agree. And first of all, thanks so much for that story.
Yeah.
Josh Scott, it's an unbelievable inspiration about, because I'm 30 years old. I live in, North Canton, Ohio, and I've never been to war. I've never seen anything even close to what they've seen, or what they've even been through physically, emotionally, everything. Right? I can't even imagine how that must have felt.
Yeah.
And just first and foremost, from my heart, thank you, all of those who are part of that. Because I really can't imagine how it's been, how you get through something like that, to see it firsthand, to watch your buddy, perish in front of you, whatever it may be.
And it stays with them for a long time.
Right.
There's several guys who I've, found their phone numbers or ran into them at, Target or something like that, and said, hey, would you like to share your story, And they think about it for a second and say, no, I don't like to talk about it. And then, it blows your mind that, 70 plus years later, it's still something too painful for them to talk about. Right. And, we were at the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. a few weeks back, and we just happened to run into a World War II veteran right when we got there. And so I spent a few minutes talking with him, and I shared about him on the on my page as well. Right. But just when he started, first of all, he was overwhelmed at the sight of the memorial. But when he started just telling me a little bit of his story, he was just moved to tears just thinking about, his buddies that didn't make it back home. Right.
Yeah. So, like I said, thank you to all of you. Yeah. You guys are inspirations to all of us, and for your service, and also for your heart, and for what you did there and what you are continuing to do through this stuff. So, and
it's not all sad stories.
Yes,
correct. There's a lot of uplifting stuff. There's a lot of funny stuff too. I just shared one yesterday where a guy found a dummy grenade, and so he walked into a tent with a few of his other guys, and he was like, hey guys, I can't get this pin back in. And then he acted like he dropped it, and all the guys were like, oh my God. And they all ran out of the tent.
That's gracious. That's insane. So if you want to learn more on this, obviously we'll have the link down below for you guys to go check that out. Please go give Josh Scott some love, and also the veterans some love.
For sure.
We love what they've done and what they're continuing to do across the nations now and then. So thank you so much, Josh Scott, for sharing.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
I think we call it on that note.
Yeah, and on that note, that it's tough to follow that. Really is, because
it needs to sink in, honestly.
Right. It really does. Yeah. You need to take that to heart. Think about it. If you know a veteran, either in your family, your friendship zone, or just acquainted, go and have a chat with them. If they are willing to do so. Go and give them some love.
For sure.
Allow them to open up to you. Be that listening ear. Maybe that's what they need to push through, to get through some of the things that maybe they're still dealing with.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's a huge thing. Some people hold on to things. Some people can let them go easily. But some people do not. And you might be that you may be able to bridge that gap between, some super sad times and maybe some getting through and having a bit more of a happier lifetime moving forward. So go and do that. Enjoy that. Be that listening ear. And first and foremost, thanks so much for listening and being here with us. We really appreciate that. To all the community, to all those who listen and watch on the YouTubes and on iTunes. Josh Scott, thanks so much. I get confused if you haven't. I went to look at Josh's picture and said Josh Scott. Josh Scott, thanks so much for being on it once again. Really appreciate for you sharing.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Josh Bixler, thanks so much once again. And we will, guys, make sure that you subscribe not only on YouTube but also on iTunes. That's a big thing for us. Rate us on iTunes. Give us some feedback on what you like, what you don't like. We want to hear from you to make sure we can make it the best podcast possible. And also hit that notification button on YouTube if you have not done so already. We're doing stuff all the time. New different things, all that stuff. So make sure you hit that so you're aware. And just so I'm not even going to say it today, but thanks for watching, and deuces.
You said it. I heard it.
See you guys.
See you next time.